I made her fall back in love with me, just to leave her again. I know how that sounds. It sounds cruel, selfish, and downright manipulative. And maybe, in some ways, it was. But before you judge me, let me tell you my side of the story. Let me tell you about us, about the love we had, the love we lost, and why I had to walk away, not once, but twice. Our story started like a classic romantic comedy. We met through mutual friends, and the spark was instant. It was one of those connections you only read about. We could talk for hours about everything and nothing. Her laugh was the most infectious sound I'd ever heard, and the way her eyes lit up when she talked about her passions. I was completely captivated for 2 years. We were inseparable. We built a life together, a world that revolved around inside jokes, shared dreams, and a deep, unwavering affection for each other. I thought she was the one, I was sure of it. But life has a funny way of testing you. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, things began to change. The late-night talks became shorter. The laughter didn't come as easily. We started getting caught up in our own worlds, our careers, our personal stresses. The small disagreements that we used to brush off with a kiss started to linger, creating tiny fractures in our foundation. We were both guilty of it. We stopped putting in the effort, assuming the love we had was strong enough to survive on its own. We were wrong. The breakup was devastating. It was a slow, painful tearing apart of two people who still cared for each other but had forgotten how to show it. It was a mutual decision, filled with tears and the heartbreaking acknowledgement that we had lost our way. We agreed it was for the best, but that didn't make it any easier. The silence in my apartment was deafening. Every corner held a memory. Every song on the radio reminded me of her. I tried to move on, dated other people, but it was like trying to see in color when all I could remember was the vibrant world we had built together. No one compared. A year passed, a long, lonely year of self-reflection. I realized my part in our downfall. I saw where I had been selfish, where I had been complacent. I understood that I hadn't just lost her, I had let her go. And that realization was a heavy weight to carry. One evening, scrolling through old photos, a wave of regret washed over me so powerfully that I couldn't ignore it. I had to know if she ever felt the same way. With trembling hands, I sent her a simple text, "Thinking of you, hope you're well." To my surprise, she replied almost instantly. That one text turned into a conversation, which led to a coffee, which felt as comfortable and as thrilling as our very first date. It was like no time had passed at all. We talked for hours, catching up on the year we'd spent apart. We were both different people, a little wiser, a little more weathered by life, but the core of who we were, and the connection we shared, was still there, burning just beneath the surface. Seeing her again, I knew I had to try. I couldn't live with the what if, so I made it my mission. I was determined to win her back, to show her that I was the man she fell in love with, but better. I wasn't just trying to recreate the past. I wanted to build a new future. I listened to her, truly listened. I remembered the little things, her favorite coffee order, the songs that made her smile. I planned dates that weren't just about fun, but about reconnecting on a deeper level. We went hiking, we cooked together, we talked about our fears and our dreams for the future. Slowly but surely, I saw the walls she had built around her heart begin to crumble. The guarded look in her eyes was replaced by that familiar sparkle. I saw her falling for me all over again, and my own heart swelled with a hope I hadn't felt in a year. It was working. We were finding our way back to each other. We fell back into our old rhythms, but this time it felt stronger, more intentional. We were both putting in the work. It was beautiful. We were in love again, and it felt even better the second time around. For 6 months it was perfect. It was everything I had dreamed of during that lonely year apart. We were communicating, we were supporting each other, we were building something solid. I was so sure this was it, our second chance, the one that would last forever. But then, a few weeks ago, something shifted. It wasn't a big fight or a dramatic event. It was a quiet, creeping realization that started in the back of my mind. We were at a friend's party and I was watching her from across the room. She was laughing, surrounded by people, absolutely radiant. And in that moment, seeing her so happy and so confident, a thought hit me like a ton of bricks. Was I the one holding her back? I started looking back at our first relationship. I remembered how she had put her own ambitions on hold for me, how she had moved to a city she didn't love for my job, how she had molded parts of herself to fit into my life. This time around, things were different. Yes, we were more balanced, but I saw the pattern starting to repeat, in subtle ways. She'd turn down a networking event to have dinner with me. She'd hesitate on a career opportunity that would require more travel. I never asked her to do these things, but her love for me, for us, made her instinctively prioritize our relationship. I realized that my presence in her life, as much as I loved her, was a gravitational pull that kept her from exploring her own full potential. She was a star, and I was a planet she was orbiting, when she deserved to be the center of her own universe. This realization was agony. How could the thing I wanted most in the world be the very thing that was limiting the person I loved most? I fought against it. I told myself I was being ridiculous, that we could make it work, that she was an adult who could make her own choices. But I knew, deep down, that her love for me was so profound that she would always choose me, even if it meant sacrificing a piece of herself, and I couldn't live with that. I couldn't be the reason she looked back in 10 years with a single ounce of regret. So, I had to make the hardest decision of my life. I had to leave her again, not because I didn't love her. I love her more than words can say. I left because I love her enough to let her go. I left so she could be free to chase every dream without hesitation, to take every opportunity without looking back, to build a life that is completely and utterly her own. I sat her down last week. It was the most painful conversation I've ever had. I saw the confusion and the hurt in her eyes as I tried to explain that I was leaving her because I loved her too much to stay. How do you explain that? It sounds like a line from a bad movie, but it was my truth. I made her fall back in love with me, not to be cruel, but because I needed to prove to myself that our love was real. And once I knew it was, I had to give her the greatest gift that love could offer, her freedom. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe one day, when we've both lived our separate lives to the fullest, our paths will cross again. Or maybe this is the final chapter of our story. All I know is that watching her walk away, knowing it was for her own good, was both the most heartbreaking and the most loving thing I have ever done. I made her fall back in love with me, just to leave her again. But this time, I didn't leave her behind. I set her free. Thank you for listening to my story. It's a complicated one, and I'm still trying to make sense of it myself. If you've ever had to make a difficult choice for love, I'd be interested to hear your perspective in the comments. And if you'd like to hear more stories like this, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. I appreciate you all.